Notice I don't close cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mill. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly but I ain't Lauren.
What is up, my people? Welcome back to another episode of the Townie Sports Podcast. I am one of you two tremendous hosts for the evening, alongside, as always, Vic. Vic, how you doing, bro?
Just living the dream, Sammy. Happy to be here. Happy to be alive. What a wonderful week it has been. We got tons of action from NFL starting. We had the college getting into the full swing of things. Great game between Florida and LSU. A great game between Florida and Utah. Great game between FSU and LSU. UCF secured the dub, but your alma mater came up short against BYU. So great to talk about football again.
Yeah, coming up short is an understatement there. I do this to myself every single season. I go out there, get super hyped for the season, and then they just lay a big fat one on me. So that was brutal to watch. I was really excited to go to the game. First of all, there was a 3-hour rain delay, so that didn't make things any better. And then they proceeded to just not know how to play defense. They looked like they were still in training camp, honestly. Then they caught some win in the second half, scored 3 touchdowns, which was, better than nothing. But yeah, it was still pretty ugly, and I was pretty embarrassed.
Pretty terrible.
But yeah, also you've been such a tremendous golf coach for me. We were out there swinging it on Saturday. Had a fun time, man.
We were. It was a great time. Getting into the swing of things. It was a hot one, that's for sure. But just gotta keep going. Just gotta keep grinding. That's the key right there.
Yeah, it is. Fun time. But all right, man.
Just much like sports podcasting.
Yeah, honestly, we just keep trucking away, keep throwing it out there, and people keep coming.
Yep.
People keep asking for stuff, so that's why we keep doing this. It starts with that local fan base, then we'll grow, baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But all right, yeah. We're kind of concluding our preview shows since we got, football starting this week. So obviously Thursday, big game, Rams, Bills, first game of the regular season. So that's going to be super, super exciting.
Right.
But pretty much today, what we're going to do is, do the NFC East, of course, and then the NFC North, and then do a little bit of a Townie takeaway. We'll decide when we get to that point and see how much time we got. I got something, but I know you wanted to touch on a little bit of Champions League, so maybe we'll kind of touch on some Champions League soccer at the end there. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the lay of the land for today. So yeah, let's just dive right into it. NFC East, first team on the docket. So of course, as I've always been doing, we're going alphabetical order. So the Dallas Cowboys. So the key acquisitions among many. James Washington at wide receiver, Dante Fowler, defensive end, and then obviously through the draft, offensive tackle Tyler Smith from Tulsa, Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver from Southern Alabama, and then just recently they got Jason Peters, and that is because their top offensive lineman Tyron Smith left with an injury, I think in week 2 of preseason, tore his hamstring, so that he's pretty much out for the season. And then key departures, Tyron Smith's probably one of them. Amari Cooper, Randy Gregory, Lyle Collins, and Cedric Wilson. So Vic, with all the additions and the subtractions from this team, what do you like with this Cowboys team, if you like them at all?
Yeah, you lose Amari Cooper, you lose Cedric Wilson, you lose Blake Jarwin as well, a great backup tight end that they had there. As far as offensively, I feel like they are a little worse offensively. They lost their number 1 wide receiver in Amari Cooper. Let's see if CeeDee Lamb is ready this year to step up and fill that role. Last year, he was great. To start the season. And the year before, same thing. Great to start the season, kind of fell off towards the end. So we'll see what CeeDee can do when he gets the full complement of things. He's the main focus. In terms of Dak Prescott, what you're getting there. A very steady quarterback play from him, much like Kirk Cousins. For Minnesota. I don't really see any type of breakout this year from him, but we'll see what happens. During the season. Again, very limited wide receiver group, in my opinion. CeeDee Lamb is the only one that you're looking at fantasy-wise to make a big splash if you're looking for a star number one wide receiver one on your fantasy football team. I think CeeDee Lamb can provide that. Talent-wise, let's see if he gets the ball thrown. The thing that I'm curious about is Zeke Elliott and what he's going to look like this year. It's another year in the league, another year of hits, another year of wear and tear. So let's see what Zeke can do this year.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I think, I mean, you also lose your top offensive lineman. I mean, I know injuries are part of the game, but Tyron Smith is a big part of why that offense goes, right? He's one of the top rated offensive, or I think, guards in the league. So having him out is going to really affect their passing game, their rush, and it's really going to force Tyler Smith from Tulsa to really have to try and jump in there right away. And then if Jason Peters has anything left in the tank, I mean, he's 40 years old, he could. But you're looking at a team that was a top offense in all of football, according to Pro Football Focus last year. A defense that was centered around, kind of Michael Parsons was their big guy there. But they were 12th overall on defense. You got Trayvon Diggs, exciting quarterback, but our corner. But I think he's a little boom bust. I think that's why you see his rating in the 60s. I think if he can level off his corner play, be a little less finesse. I think he was always looking for the big play, the touchdown, the pick sixes, and all that stuff.
And Sammy, sorry to interrupt, but we got our first question in the chat.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to throw it out there because we love to engage with our fans in the chat. So a question from Sebastian here. He has Cook, Najee, Kamara, and Chase. He's in a full PPR. He asks us to rank them. That's Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, Alvin Kamara, and Jamar Chase. Rank them in a full PPR. So since I already had the question up to me, I'm going to go ahead and do my ranks first. I have Chase 1, Dalvin Cook 2, Najee Harris 3, and Kamara 4. Out of those 4. So again, that's Chase 1, Dalvin Cook 2, Najee Harris 3, and Alvin Kamara 4. Now, those top 2, Chase and Dalvin Cook, that's my first tier. In the second tier below them, I have Harris and Kamara. And speaking about the Dallas Cowboys as we are right now, I have CeeDee Lamb ranked above Alvin Kamara. CeeDee Lamb 13th overall in my PPR rankings, just above Kamara at 14.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with you there. I think if you're looking at value, I think Kamara is somebody you should still kind of target, even though he's on bottom of your tier 2. I think if you have the opportunity to get a player like him, he's something that you and I touched on, I think, a week or two ago when we were referring to this New Orleans Saints offense. I think it's going to be a little bit better. We think he's going to, with their added weapons, with Jarvis Landry there now, with Michael Thomas, I think it's going to open up a lot of that offense, and I think he's going to get a lot more touches. So if you're looking at a PPR, Kamara is one that you could possibly get at pretty decent value. But yeah, as far as your rankings go, I think I'm on par with how you rank them.
Awesome. Well, there you go, Sebastian. Take it to your league and win it.
Yeah, go win that thing, baby. But yeah, you're looking at Trayvon Diggs, exciting cornerback, boom bust. So if he can kind of level off, I think the defense could be kind of slightly a little bit better. But overall, I think this is a team that, compared to some other teams in the league that we've talked about, especially last week in our huge episode, I think they're a team that might have taken a step backward as compared to last year, but which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like I mentioned, the number one offense, so can't really get much better than that. But everybody saw that and kind of improved on that. I think they didn't do enough to kind of help with their loss of Amari Cooper. I know you're not a huge Amari Cooper fan, but I think Amari Cooper on Dallas is a different animal because of how he brings people away from CeeDee Lamb. I think you might see CeeDee Lamb get a slight bump down as far as fantasy as well, considering he will be the only kind of throwing option for Dak Prescott. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, another interesting thing here, though, Sammy, to point out is that Dallas does have the 22nd easiest schedule, or They are 22nd in terms of strength of schedule. First being the hardest, so they are 22nd in the league out of 32. So they have a relatively easy schedule for a team coming off. They won the division last year, didn't they? So coming off a division win, they have a 55% chance to make the playoffs, 30% chance to win the division title. I believe those are the best odds of any NFC East. So they are the East favorite. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. The Philadelphia Eagles, who we'll be talking about shortly, have a better percentage projection to play out win the title. But I think if you're looking at it from a betting perspective, they have a pretty. I think you're going to get some pretty good value there if you take them as a division winner. Having their track record. Overall though, Sammy, I still am going to stick with my guns here on Dallas. Even though they did get worse offensively, I think that they are still have enough to win the division, and I think that they will end up at the end of the day, for all the dust settles, winning the division.
Okay, so that gets me to my next point. The over-under currently right now is sitting at 10.5. So you're saying they're going to win a division. Do you like that number there?
I think this is a division that's going to have their winner be a 10-win team. So I'm going to go with the under on the Dallas Cowboys. As crazy as that sounds, I have the under.
No, I'm with you. I got the under. I think they slightly got worse. I don't think they quite moved the needle defensively to improve it that much. Granted, still a defense that was 12th overall, according to Pro Football Focus last season. And then I think the loss of Tyron Smith is really big on that running game. And I think that's what helps Zeke, honestly, since he's more of a volume runner now more than an explosive runner. So he really relies on that O-line giving him space. So we'll see how this team can kind of come around, how that offense is going to function without kind of two big number ones. I mean, you're looking at CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper as kind of like a 1A, 1B, right? So Amari Cooper could be a number one on a lot of other teams. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't have them winning the division, and I have the under there slightly. I'm looking at 9.5 or 10. But yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I like that a lot.
All right, so fantasy football players for the Dallas Cowboys. I'll let you go first.
So we're talking studs. Sorry, Arctic JC in the chat. What up, JC? But he said that mic check seems to be an issue. But I just checked and we look okay now. Yeah. So studs. CeeDee Lamb is my only stud. Well, you know what? Zeke. Let's throw Zeke in there. I'm gonna have CeeDee and Zeke as my studs. My sleeper here is going to be. I'll throw Dak Prescott in there. I think you can get him late. I had a draft last night where he went in the 12th round, so I think you can get him late, and I think he could be a nice little sleeper for you.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Michael Gallup. Go ahead.
Yeah, Michael Gallup. I also had Tony Pollard. I think he might be the more talented player. Running back wise, I think at this current junction, so he might kind of take over if Zeke is just kind of running into sled, you know what I mean? And then as far as deep sleepers, I mean, this is kind of a coin toss for me. I think there's going to be volume catches there. So you're looking at either James Washington or Jalen Tolbert. Couldn't really decide, but I think you've got some key volume there that they need to get some passes thrown to them that Amari Cooper is giving up, and that obviously CeeDee Lamb's going to need some help. So I'm probably leaning James Washington, but Jalen Tolbert's a pretty good talent.
That's a deep sleeper. I like that.
Yeah. But all right, so the next team on the docket for the NFC East is the New York Football Giants. Bing bong. So the key additions: Ricky Seals-Jones, Matt Breida, Tyrod Taylor. So obviously Brian Daboll bringing all his boys back. And then in the draft, Kayvon Thibodeau, linebacker out of Oregon, and Evan Neal, offensive tackle out of Alabama. Key departures, you're looking at Evan Ingram, Logan Ryan, Devontae Booker, and James Bradbury. This is a bad team, right, Vic?
Yes. No, but you said this is a bad team, and I don't know that it's a bad team yet. To be honest with you, I think that they have trouble at quarterback. But I also I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck out if they snuck out 8 wins. To be honest with you, I think I like the coach. I like that they have at least some direction. I like that Saquon Barkley is supposedly fully healthy. So, yeah, I think this is a team that could surprise, Sammy.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem I think with this Giants team is their offensive line. You're looking at one of the worst offensive lines in football. They did try to address that with obviously the Evan Neal draft pick in this year's draft, because I think that was a big part of what led to Daniel Jones' injury. And then you're also looking at a receiving corps that on paper looks pretty good, right? But just a receiving corps that just can't stay on the field. And I think that was really big. He couldn't really develop a rapport with Kenny Golladay, obviously having the rapport with
Tony.
Kadarius Toney. And then he's got rapport with Sterling Shepard, but Sterling Shepard he racks up all those minutes and gets injured, and because he was the only one that can really kind of stay on the field. So, but you're looking at contract years for both Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. So I think maybe, there's something here. And Brian Daboll, I really like what he did in Buffalo, as much as, that's kind of blasphemous for me to say, but offensively what he did in Buffalo, I think is significant. And I think he's got a similar talent set here. What do you think?
I definitely agree. And I think he can unlock this offense. Now, whether that is with Daniel Jones or with somebody else at quarterback, we'll see. But I think that Daniel Jones has enough to be a decent starting quarterback in the league, and really all this team needs is a Ryan Tannehill level quarterback. I mean, as far as fantasy value here, I don't want to step on our foot, but I always like to dive into fantasy a little bit early. If we're looking at fantasy value from everybody in the NFC East, the highest rated player I have is Saquon Barkley. Out of any other player in the NFC East, he's my highest rated player at 12. I think he's poised for a big year. Hopefully, I'm praying, it's finally going to happen for him, and maybe an injury, a non-injury filled season will do that for him. So. I'm not sleeping on the Giants this year. I think they can pull out 8 wins.
Yeah, I mean, 8 wins. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at, also they got rookie Wan'Dale Robinson. Hopefully he can come in and take some of Sterling Shepard's minutes. He's looking really good in camp. Sterling Shepard obviously is coming back. He's on the PUP, I believe, while he rehabs the Achilles injury. Kayvon Thibodeau looks like he should be ready for week 1. That's another pass rusher that they desperately need on that defense. And the over-under sitting at 6.5. I'm taking the under, but probably not by much. I mean, this is a team that definitely looks improved from a coaching perspective. Couple key players here and there. They won 4 games last season, but I just don't know if I see enough for 7. I don't know. I can't. I understand where you're coming from. I definitely do. I can be convinced, but I just don't see enough for 7. I'm
going to take the over. With their win total here, I think they definitely hit the over. That's my take this year. I think I'm taking the Giants to win to take the over.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So fantasy. What are we? This was tough for me, dude. I was really.
Oh, it's only 2. It's Saquon Barkley and Kadarius Toney.
Okay. I was
those are the only 2.
I threw out Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, and I think that's the only other one, right? So Wan'Dale Robinson would be my deep sleeper. Maybe Kenny Golladay.
So Wan'Dale Robinson, I know you're gonna love this one. He owns Pro Football Focus #1 career receiving grade from that 2022 draft class. So take for that what you will, but he definitely probably looks like a player that has the skill set to fill in for Sterling Shepard, if not even better. So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I mean, SEC wide receiver. He's short. That's his issue with me. Is he's too small. 5'8", 178 pounds. That's not a big guy, but he's got speed, right?
Yep.
So yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens with Robinson, but I definitely see what you're saying. If he can provide that spark that Sterling Shepard had, and Kenny Golladay could be a decent sleeper as well. But I would definitely take the chance of Robinson, the upside of Robinson over whatever
exactly
Golladay can offer you.
when you're looking at late, right? If you could choose Kenny Golladay in the middle rounds or take somebody else, but then take Wan'Dale Robinson in the back end, yeah,
absolutely.
But all right, third team on the docket from the NFC East. Now, this is the team that I'm picking to win the division, the Philadelphia Eagles, with their key additions, and you're going to love this. Key additions: wide receiver A.J. Brown, wide receiver Zach Pascal, cornerback James Bradbury, linebacker Kazir White, linebacker Hassan Riddick, defensive tackle Jordan Davis out of the University of Georgia, among a couple other draft picks there, but those were significant. Key departures, not many. Linebacker Alex Singleton, safety Rodney McLeod. So obviously looking to bolster that defense, added a couple key players on offense, and we'll see how this Philadelphia Eagles team, have they impressed you, Vic, since what they did this offseason from what they showed you last year?
Yeah, they definitely, you can tell they're going after it, right? Biggest thing to me is the strength of schedule. They are 29th in strength of schedule. Again, first being the hardest, so 29th. So only 3 other teams have an easier schedule, according to Pro Football Focus, this year than the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's huge. They bring in A.J. Brown, and even Zach
Jordan
Pascal
Howard.
on offense. Yeah, no, Jordan Howard's gone. They bring A.J. Brown and Zach Pascal, to bolster that wide receiving core that was, honestly, shady last year.
Mediocre.
A.J. Brown, yeah, they did get younger as well. Yeah, A.J. Brown is a good wide receiver, and in fact, he might be one of the game's best wide receivers. Pro Football Focus has given him a receiving grade of 91.2 since 2019. That ranks third among 108 wide receivers with triple-digit targets since 2019. So 91 ranks third among 108 wide receivers with triple-digit targets since 2019. His yards per route, 2.61, ranks fourth. His yards per reception, 16.2, ranks eighth among qualified wide receivers. So this is an elite wide receiver that they're getting, and they're matching up with what I think is another elite wide receiver in Devonta Smith, who will get even more looks than he would have normally without A.J. Brown on the other side. So I like the wide receiving core here. I like Dallas Goedert as a tight end. If you're looking at tight end late, I think you can do worse than Dallas Goedert. And Jalen Hurts. Let's see what happens with Jalen Hurts. If he unlocks this year, he could be a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that was that perfect segue into what I was going to say. I think Jalen Hurts is the biggest question mark on this team, right? I mean, he ranked 21st in pass attempts, so obviously close to the bottom, and 15 in turnover-worthy play. So not only is he not really going after, not really getting after it with pass attempts, but he's up there in turnover-worthy plays when he is dropping back. So I think, but I mean, to be fair, he was also third in scrambles, which are obviously non-drawn up quarterback runs, but was third in average time to throw per dropback, meaning he was pretty indecisive when he had the ball. And I think that's a little bit of maybe his decision making, but also, like you mentioned perfectly, was probably a very suspect wide receiving core that probably just couldn't really get open. You got a bunch of number 2s and 3s, and probably you got decent corners around them that can cover them. Now you add A.J. Brown in the mix, you're taking out top corners out of there, and maybe a double team, you're going to leave a lot of other guys open. But we're going to see, can A.J. Brown be the difference maker on this team? Does Jalen Hurts have the arm for it? Can A.J. Brown evolve into a different type of wide receiver, a more possession wide receiver? And then this is a team that was 19th in defense, so about average, but I think they did a lot to address it. And then they were 7th in offense, and then again they did a lot to address it. So I think this team in this division is probably one of the more improved teams, and I'm pretty impressed with what they did. to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think that they're great, and I think if you're looking at a division winner, your smart money probably goes to Philadelphia.
Yeah. But. All right. So the over under right now is sitting at 9.5. Are you taking that?
So this is going to surprise you, Sammy, but I am going to take the under.
Wow. And why is that? You just feeling it? You just feeling the under there?
I think that they did a lot on offense, but I don't think they did enough on defense. I don't think this team is tested. They're still young. Jalen Hurts, I believe, is still only in his third year. Devonta Smith in his second. Third year starting, I think is what I should say. I don't like this team as much as other people do, but I think offensively they're going to be great. I think they're going to struggle on defense.
Yeah. Okay. I like the over. I think there's a team that won 9 games last season. I think they improved on both sides of the ball. I don't think the defense is going to be like drastically improved, but definitely improved, I think, from their 19th position. And then, like you mentioned, with their strength of schedule, I think that helps them a lot. A.J. Brown, obviously, Zach Pascal, so you're opening up that offense a lot. But yeah, I like the over.
I think that they're going to win 9 games, but I don't think they're going to get over the 10 games.
Okay. So your fantasy players, what do you got?
I think this is pretty easy, right? So number 1, obviously AJ Brown. Number 2, out of all the Eagles for me would be Jalen Hurts. Miles Sanders and Devonta Smith are pretty close. So my studs: AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, and Devonta Smith.
Okay. Yeah, I got Devonta Smith as a sleeper. I think he's going to get a lot more catches this year. I got a deep sleeper in Quez Watkins. So again, this is a team that's going to open it. Having AJ Brown's going to open them up a lot more, I think. Kind of showcase their skill set. And then, because we mentioned it a little bit last week, and I thought about it looking at this defense, I know you're poo-pooing on it. I think this might be a sneaky, decent defense for you to just get super late in the draft. Nobody's going to even think about it, and a very, very consistent defense that probably won't go under on the negative, and that's all you kind of want from your defense, to just be consistent every week. And I think their defense is going to get better as the season progresses, if it stays healthy. I think they added a lot there. They got a lot of bulk there at the linebacker position. Obviously, their secondary is still, like you mentioned, still like unchallenged because they're young, but they still have Darius Slay over there. They added Bradbury. So, yeah, I think this is a better defense, and I think this is a sneaky good defense.
You're better with the sleepers than I am. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about this defense.
All right, so the final team, the Washington Commanders. That's like so weird. I had to write this up, and I was like, that's probably the weirdest thing I've ever written. But key acquisitions. Hold on, I'm in a fantasy draft now. Let me make a quick pick here. Should I do Kareem Hunt or Cordero Patterson?
What is this? The second round?
No, we're in like the
third round,
4th, or round 8.
You're in the 4th round, and you have a choice between who?
Well, I got a lot of other choices, but I want to get a running back. So I think
So you're between Cordero Patterson and who?
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. Oh, let's see what the rankings say here.
20 seconds. This makes for very, very good TV.
All right, 20 seconds. Here we go. I'll probably go Cordero Patterson.
Got it. Boom, we're in there. All right, moving on. The key acquisitions for the Washington Commanders: quarterback Carson Wentz, guard Andrew Norwell, wide receiver Jahan Dotson out of Penn State, running back Brian Robinson out of Alabama, so your homies, and QB Sam Howell out of UNC. So it looks like a very short leash for Carson Wentz. Key departures: guard Brandon Scherf, guard Eric Flowers, or safety Landon Collins. I think that was a typo. I don't think that was guard Eric Flowers. I think that's linebacker. But yeah, Vic, this is another bad team, right?
Yeah, this team is bad. But you said Carson Wentz has a short lease because of Sam Howell. I don't think Sam Howell has anything to do with that. You got to remember Tyler Heineke's still there. Um, but they did upgrade a quarterback, in my opinion, right? Let's just take everybody back that Carson Wentz was acquired via multi-pick deal between the Colts and the Commanders. So Wentz was not great in 2021. His adjusted completion rate was 72.3%, which ranks 36th out of eligible quarterbacks. His Pro Football Focus passing grade was 71.9, which ranks 18th out of eligible quarterbacks. So very middle of the road for you on a team that is just very middle of the road in terms of talent. You have Antonio Gibson, who's fine. You have Terry McLaurin, who's a top end wide receiver. Unfortunately, after him, there's not much behind him. An offensive line that struggles, right? So, I mean, there's not a lot here on this Washington team. They're going to be a bad team this year. If we're looking at their strength of schedule, this whole division has an easy strength of schedule. They are ranked tied with the Philadelphia Eagles for 29th in strength of schedule. I don't think this is a team that's going to go anywhere. I think that they're going to win less than 6 games.
Yep. This defense is super young. I thought they took a step back last season from what you and I predicted to be a pretty good 2020. And I think this was a team you and I were pretty, bullish on last season, but they kind of let us down defensively. Antonio Gibson, like you mentioned, just really, really big talent, just can't hold on to the ball. He's got a high ceiling playmaking. But like I said, if he wants to keep the job, he's got to hold on to the ball. Chase Young, question mark to play week 1 already after suffering an ACL tear last November. So, keep an eye on that for their defense. I mean, this team has decent potential. This looks like a team that's constructed of players that are trying to just stay in the league. This is like last chance you. That's what the Washington Commanders remind me of, right? Like, these are guys that have a lot to prove, and this is their last opportunity to be in the NFL. Maybe slightly less on Antonio Gibson, but I think if he has another season where he fumbles more than 6 to 8 times, I don't know where he's going to go, honestly. And that stinks.
I agree.
But yeah, a lot of potential, right? Like, again, a lot of team with a lot of potential. It's free Terry McLaurin.
Yes. For the love of God.
But the over-under is 7.5.
I'll take the under.
Taking the under. But isn't that strange that it's 7.5? That seems very high.
Well, when I look at Pro Football Focus, I think Bill Simmons calls it the Vegas zone. Sometimes, like, where something seems too high or seems too low. This is definitely the Vegas zone. So yeah, there's something fishy going on here. But when I look at Pro Football Focus's projections, they have their average, and the projections are based on I believe 1,000 simulations, something like that. I'm sorry. So the projections are probabilities based off 10,000 season simulations given team point spread rating, strength of schedule, and team record. So their average wins in those projections are 8.5. So take that with a grain of salt, those simulations. But why can't I say that word? I still have them under. I'm still taking the under here, Sammy.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm teetering towards the under. I kind of want to take the over, but I just think this team just got a little bit worse compared to the rest of the division. I just don't like where it's going. I mean, granted, like you had mentioned, Carson Wentz didn't have a terrible season last year. It was kind of just mediocre and good enough, and I think that's still improvement over Heineke, like you said. But yeah. All right, so fantasy. Are you staying? What are you doing with their fantasy players here?
It's just McLaurin, and then if you can get Gibson late, take Gibson late. But the only stud for me is McLaurin.
Yep, McLaurin. I got a sleeper, Curtis Samuel. I mean, they got to throw the ball, right?
Yeah, Curtis Samuel.
Be down
that's
a
low.
lot.
That's really low.
Yeah.
He's probably undrafted in most of these, right?
Yeah, I think so. But all right. So let's move. Anything else you want to get to with the NFC East? Anything that we may have missed with the NFC East?
Nah, let's move on.
All right.
Move on.
Moving on. So the NFC North, starting obviously again in alphabetical order, the Chicago Bears. Key additions: Byron Pringle, Trevor Siemian, safety Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State, wide receiver Velus Jones. Departures: Allen Robinson, Khalil Mack, Andy Dalton, and Damiere Byrd. Vic, did they do anything to address a lot of those key departures? Because that looks like a very upside down addition by subtraction there.
Yeah. I mean, this is another team that's just kind of like blah. You know?
Right.
They made a lot of people gone. Don't forget they also signed Equimanius St. Brown of Hard Knocks fame, I think, right? So you look at this team, and it's Justin Fields' team finally there from the get-go, right? Trevor Siemian is easily the backup here. Fields is going to be given the leash or be given the reins to move forward. So it's all about Fields here. So if we're looking at Fields since he took over, I believe week 3 he took over. He started off week 6 QB 19, week 7 QB 24, and these are fantasy rankings, of course. Week 8 QB 3, week 9 QB 9, week 14 QB 8, week 15 QB 10. So Fields has the talent to be a top 10 quarterback fantasy-wise and possibly a top 10 quarterback real NFL-wise. I like Fields this year. I just don't like the team around him. David Montgomery is just boring. He's always there. He's just a steady back. He is what he is. This wide receiving core is left wanting. Darnell Mooney is the number 1 there. Velus Jones Jr., Byron Pringle, like I said, Equimania St. Brown, Dante Pettis, just a bunch of wide receivers. This is starting to feel like a Detroit Lions type team, where these are the Lions teams that we're so used to seeing. They got their stink on the Bears now. So there's not much to say about this team, Sammy. They stink. Yep,
they're in full rebuild mode. Thought Fields was lackluster in rookie season, and I don't think there's any light at the end of this tunnel for him. And it's not his fault, like you mentioned. I think just everybody around him is just not very good. He was ranked 41 out of 50 qualified quarterbacks, according to Pro Football Focus, in passer grade last year. Ouch. So I'm not sure if that's his fault or the team's fault or what the case is, but yeah, not very good. The over-under right now sitting at 6. Vic, what are you doing with that?
I go under here. I have them under.
Same here. I just don't think they got the juice, man, unfortunately.
No.
All right, fantasy players, what do you got?
Nobody. I guess Justin Fields, maybe. David Montgomery, if you can get him later. I think that's the only guy on the team I'm looking at.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at Montgomery as a stud, right, quote unquote stud, that's just because you're looking for RB2 that's just going to be consistent, right? He's not going to blow anybody away, but he's just going to get volume because he's the only one there. He's pretty steady. I think you're also looking at Darnell Mooney. This is a team that's probably going to have to pass the ball. So, I mean, he's going to get his fair share of touches on the ball. I think you're looking at deep sleepers. Cole Kmet is an interesting tight end to take pretty late. So if you didn't take a tight end early and you're kind of struggling in the back end of the draft, I think Cole Kmet is pretty solid.
Last round tight end there.
Yeah. I mean, there's volume there, I think, and he looked like he was a trusty guy for a little bit with Fields. And then Khalil Herbert, super late, nice little backup. He's got the talent to be better than David Montgomery. Can catch the ball too. So look for Herbert too. A little late as well as a deep sleeper. Yeah, moving on. That team's kind of boring. No offense to our boy.
They suck. Yeah. Sorry, Kyle.
All right, so Average Kurt is excited for this one, man. He's got me hyped, man. I was looking through this earlier.
Why don't we have him on? We should have him on for this.
I know we should have had him on. We'll have him on. We'll have him on to talk more Lions. It was kind of last minute. Like I didn't even think about bringing him on for this, but should have just brought him on.
I know, right? I completely forgot too. We should have had him on. All right, let's get to it then.
All right, key additions: wide receiver DJ Chark, cornerback Mike Hughes, tight end Garrett Griffin, and then obviously from the draft, I thought they did splendifulously. Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end out of Michigan. Jamison Williams, wide receiver, Alabama. Kirby Joseph, safety out of Illinois. Key departures, Trey Flowers. Fuck that guy. Pardon my French. But man, I'm impressed, honestly. What do you think? What do you think about the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, I mean, when you look on paper, this is a decent team on paper, in my opinion. I like every skill position really, except for Jared Goff, who's ranked QB 27, but again, he's there, he's fine. I think that the Lions have the opposite issue that the Bears have, where they have everything else, they just don't have a quarterback. I think, and I believe wholeheartedly that Jared Goff is one of the worst quarterbacks in football. Last year, in Pro Football Focus's passer rating, he ranked 29th among 44 quarterbacks with 100-plus dropbacks. His QB rating was 91.5, ranking 20th. His big-time throw rate, 2.3%, was number 36th out of 44 possible quarterbacks. So, and then you brought up turnover-worthy play rate last year, 3.1%. That ranked 19th among quarterbacks. So, sorry, Kurt. I really don't like Jared Goff. But you look everywhere else, and you see DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams at running back. You see wide receivers like Amon-Ra St. Brown. You see Jamison Williams. You see DJ Chark. And then even at tight end, you got TJ Hawkinson. These are great skill position players there. Unfortunately, they're lacking at quarterback, and I think that's the only thing that's going to hold the offense back this season.
So I'm going to counter your argument. I'm not going to say Jared Goff is good, but in the final 5 games of the season, only 2 quarterbacks had higher passer ratings than Jared Goff last season. And I think that shows promise for this offense turning it around. And I think with the additions that they had, I think there is promise for this offense and promise for Jared Goff. I'm not going to jump on the Jared Goff bandwagon, but I'm going to go against your poo-pooing. That's what I like to do. I like to keep our show balanced. So I like to give people the other side of the coin. And obviously Jamison Williams might not be back, I think, till about November. But I think once he does come back there, it's going to be even better. And like you mentioned, a great pass-catching running back, top-tier tight end. DJ Chark there, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I thought they showed a lot of upside there. The defensive draft picks, I think, it's going to help. It's going to help this defense get a little bit better than what they were last year. I think they were close to the bottom of the league. But yeah, I think they could be fun. This might be like one of those, like you like to mention, like a league pass team. I think they'll be pretty interesting to watch.
And you know what? That's funny is that last year their offensive line ranked 3rd among all eligible offensive lines last year. So that doesn't hurt as well. But I just think Goff is shot. Last year, he averaged by far his worst number of fantasy points per game, 13.9, which ranked him at QB 23. So I think he is shot.
Okay. So the over-under is 6.5. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and hit the over here. I think it's a yearly tradition, actually, is hitting the over on the Detroit Lions. But I think that they're going to be fine.
I do too. I think this division is beatable. I think this division consistently beats themselves up. And, I think they all match up very well against each other. One of the few divisions that really does that, in my opinion, I think, where anything can really happen. But as far as fantasy, what are you looking at from the Detroit Lions point of view?
So if we're looking just strictly redraft league, PPR, Detroit Lions, I think the number one target for you if you're a Detroit Lions fan is DeAndre Swift. He is a top 17 player and a top 10 running back this year, in my opinion. You're also looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown. TJ Hawkinson could be a nice steal late. I have him ranked in my top 10 tight ends. I think you can get him late. His ADP on Pro Football Focus is 118th. So do with that what you will. I think that a late pickup, Jamal Williams, might be nice. I think if you have DeAndre Swift and you are not handcuffing him with Jamal Williams, you're making a mistake. You should be handcuffing DeAndre Swift, absolutely. And I wouldn't take a late flyer on Jameson Williams, but I would definitely be stalking the waiver wire for him in a few weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah, and if there's I don't know if he's on the IR or the PUP, but if he is, and you have a position, I would hold him. I would put him there. Yeah, draft and stash because he is a talent, boy. I tell you. Sleepers, I'm on Ross St. Brown. Although a lot of things that I've been looking at is they're very bullish on him, seeing that what he did last season, a lot of it was bulk in the second half. So there's a lot of people that don't think he can kind of repeat that. So kind of look at Amon-Ra St. Brown from a value perspective. You can get him for decent value, pull the trigger. If not, then, I think there's a couple other players I'd like there, but decent sleeper. Key studs, obviously DeAndre Swift and Hawkinson, like you mentioned. So, yeah, that's all I got for the Lions.
Fun team to talk about. Good league pass team.
Good league pass team. I am excited for them. All right. So, the next team on the docket. So it's almost like we're going in it's kind of funny there. It's alphabetical, but it looks like they're in like record order. The Green Bay Packers. Oh, really? Well, at least in my opinion, I don't know about you, but the Green Bay Packers key additions: Sammy Watkins, and then in the draft, Quay Walker from Georgia, Devontae Wyatt from Georgia, Christian Watson, who apparently is looking very good in camp, and Aaron Rodgers is in love with. So, hint, hint. Aaron Rodgers does have an eye for a guy, and will just freaking laser beam him the ball all the time. He loves Christian Watson. And then Romeo Doubs out of Nevada, wide receiver as well. Key departures, obviously, Devontae Adams, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, go Bulls, and linebacker Zadarius Smith. Ah, man. Tough one there, right, Vic?
This team's boring shit. Just a boring team. You know what I mean? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
I honestly say I want to deep dive. I really do, but like I really just don't give a shit.
I don't think anybody really does, right? Like it's just Rodgers and that's it. And I think you're looking at like a perspective with the Packers where it's like Rodgers is good, but at least for me, when I looked at this team, I was like, is he this good? Can he do that with this team?
What's funny is last year only the Browns ranked lower according to Pro Football Focus in terms of receiver core rankings. So that was for that. That's for last year. So this year it's even worse. So I just don't know that I like this team at all. I don't like them personally, right? I don't know why I don't like the Packers. I just don't. Maybe it's because they beat the Patriots in the 96 Super Bowl.
98.
Should have been Drew Bledsoe's 98. Should have been Drew Bledsoe's first. It is what it is. I do not like this team.
And this is interesting. So I think you're onto something with the wide receiver thing. So even though they did rank at that point in wide receiver core rankings, Devontae Adams accounted for 24% of their total pass yards and 25% of their total touchdown shares on that Packers offense last year. And that guy is gone. That's like, I remember when I looked at this was like maybe 8-10 years ago, Matt Forte for the Chicago Bears. Do you remember his offensive share on that team? It was like 31% or something like that. So you're looking at a wide receiver that was 24 to 25%. A wide receiver. Like, that's pretty significant. in my opinion.
They suck. I know the only reason that if this now switch, put Aaron Rodgers on the Bears and put Jared Goff on the Packers, and are the Packers a 7-win team? I don't think so. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting to look at the Packers and say, wow, they literally, and it's not like the defense is that great either.
It's not.
I don't have. Do you have their defense ranking last year? I don't have it in front of me. Let me pull it up real quick. But this is a team that has the 21st, strength of schedule ranking, and according to this, so they actually the third best defense last year. That's interesting, and that's just based on points scored though. But I still don't like the defense, and I don't think that they got better anywhere. Do you feel like? Can you say? Look at any of those additions and say, okay, they got better at this position?
No, and I said it. I think the offense got significantly worse, and I think the defense might have gotten better, but only from like a personnel perspective. Like now they have more players, right? Like they have more depth. So not necessarily like they got better talent, but they got more depth at those defensive positions.
Yeah. I mean, with that being said, what is their over/under at, Sammy?
11.
I'll take the under.
I'm either staying away from that number or I'm taking the under. So I guess since I'm on this show, I have to take the under. I thought they cruised to 13 wins, and I think losing a guy that's 25% or 30% of your offense can throw a lot off of that spiciness. So look for this team to be a team that might not be that high-scoring team that you're used to, and they might have to win close games. They might have to slow the game down, play defense, and run the ball. And I think to your point, it's going to be super freaking boring. But all right, fantasy players.
For me, it's Aaron Jones, and that's it. Maybe AJ Dillon if you want to handcuff him.
Yeah, I got Aaron Jones. Rodgers, according to value, I think you can get him like 8th or 9th QB. It's not bad.
I will say, I have owned Aaron Jones in the past, and he is like literally the most boring running back to own. Yeah. He'll get you points, but it's gonna suck to own him. Yeah. I would avoid all Packers other than Aaron Rodgers.
If you're going deep, like if you're deep in rounds and you're looking at somebody as a dart throw for some deep sleepers that could really pan out, you're looking at Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson. Somebody is going to be Aaron Rodgers' new favorite. Here in the chat. Yeah.
We have a question in the chat from Sebastian. Brady or Rodgers right now? Who are you taking?
In fantasy? Or just in general?
Fantasy.
Tom Brady.
You're taking Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers right now?
In fantasy, yeah. No redraft, right? It's a redraft league, right? Like I'm not a keeper or anything.
No. I think I'm taking Tom Brady as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Tom. I'm gonna take Tom Brady because of the talent around him.
Yeah. Same here.
Well, there you go, Sebastian. There's your answer. We both say Tom Brady.
Yep.
I don't like Tom Brady this year.
I don't either, but I think you could do worse. I think with the value, I think people are getting him in the 5th round. I think that's not bad.
I would honestly, if you're there, I'm curious to see what other quarterbacks are available. I mean, I might just continue to wait on a quarterback and wait for maybe you can get Justin Fields way late.
I got Kirk Cousins in the 9th.
I was just gonna say maybe you can get Kirk Cousins
or the 10th. I think it was. I got him in the 10th.
I would go after a position player and look for Kirk Cousins or even Derek Carr, who I'm a little bit high on this year. Later on. And
if you want a chance, Trey Lance. Because you can fill up every other position, and then just take a chance on Trey Lance. Take
a chance on Lance.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else you want to get to with the Green Bay Packers? I know you want to move on from them, but
no, fuck them. Let's not talk about it.
All right, we're making amazing time, by the way. The final team in the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings. Key additions: linebacker Jordan Hicks, linebacker Zadarius Smith. He ended up switching teams in the division, which is very, very, very weird and rare. And then obviously from the draft, they got Lewis Sine from Georgia and cornerback Andrew Booth from Clemson. Key departures: tight end Tyler Conklin, cornerback Xavier Woods, linebacker Anthony Barr, and defensive tackle Michael Pierce. Are you one of the people that is also bullish on the Minnesota Vikings this year?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team I think that has a chance to win the division. I think if they were going to win it any year, I think it'd be this year. Yeah, you know what, Sammy, I do like him. I like him this year. I think that they're going to win the division.
Yeah.
As far as key departures, I don't think they lost anybody major except for Xavier Woods. Michael Pierce also. Anthony Barr was getting older in age, but I think they did a good job replacing them with their key additions, getting Jordan Hicks, drafting Lewis Sine out of Georgia, and even Andrew Booth out of Clemson. So yeah, I like it. I like what they did in the offseason. Another solid team for me. I don't really know that I have much to add here. But obviously Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, that's probably one of the better 1-2 combos, although Adam Thielen is getting older in age. I still think he is a decent wide receiver and a good fantasy play if you can get him late enough. Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, if you're picking in the 4th through, if you have the 4th or under pick, that should be your first round pick, in my opinion. I believe he's led the league in receiving yards like 2 years in a row. So that's a safe bet there.
Yeah, not much to add. I mean, you're looking also at the key offensive coaching changes. I think that'll improve this offense that was already, pretty good and showed a lot of promise last season. They were 11th according to Pro Football Focus rankings, and I think now going to that West Coast style offense, I think you're going to see a lot of that even improve. I think you'll see Justin Jefferson's numbers go up. I think you see Dalvin Cook's numbers go up if he can stay on the field. Adam Thielen's still going to be a threat at the red zone.
Yep.
Yeah, and Irv Smith, obviously a tight end. Hopefully he'll stay healthy, stay on the field. I think he's got a lot of promise on that offense. The defense was 21st, and I think, you mentioned it perfectly. They did a lot to address that defense to make it, not as suspect as it was last season, maybe be a little bit more average, which is what you're looking at with a lot of these good teams, right? Like a lot of these pretty good teams that make deep runs, they got great offenses, and they just have just good enough defenses. I think you talked about it last season. That's kind of all you need, right? A great offense and just good enough on defense.
That was great. I agree. I would really like Detroit to win this division, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think this division goes to and another question from Sebastian in the chat. He's giving us questions. Got to give him answers.
I love it.
He has a team right now: Brady, Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, Michael Pittman, Mike Williams, Zach Ertz, and Travis Etienne. It's a 12-team league. How do you rate his team full PPR?
Can you name those players again? Actually, hold on.
Brady, Najee, Jones, Pittman, Mike Williams, Zach Ertz, and Travis Etienne.
I'll let you go first. I'm leaving my draft right now. I'm just going to pull this up in the chat so I can take a peek at it. You go first.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Brady, Najee.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Sebastian. I think you could have done. I don't know what the other teams look like in the draft, so I really can't tell you how you're stacking up and maybe who's left. But I don't hate it. I like that you have Najee. I'm a little bit worried about your wide receiver 1 position, but you're looking good, and you're looking good at running back. That's for sure. Maybe later on in the season you can trade Etienne or Jones for a wide receiver 1. Mike Williams is fine too, but don't love him as your number 1.
Yeah, if you're looking at a PPR, there were some other players I probably would have liked to take at those wide receiver spots. But, I mean, that's not a terrible team. And you're probably looking at maybe upgrading. I mean, Najee and Jones. I mean, it's not a terrible running back core. Yeah, I think like you said.
And Etienne, yeah. So you got. I would wait for Etienne to gain some value, and then dangle him out. Because what you see a lot of from these first-year running backs, if for people that forget, this is a guy that got hurt and was not able to play last season. But what you see a lot from these first year running backs is they'll end up hitting a wall. So you wait for him to gain some value. You can easily maybe trade him for another wide receiver and bolster that wide receiving core. But no, not bad so far.
Yeah, it's pretty good so far. Not half bad. I want to know what his pick was too. He's probably like, with Najee, probably like 7. Pick number 7.
It's got to be later, yeah.
Yeah, 7 or 8. So I think when you're looking at those picks, I mean, sorry to get off on a tangent, but when you're looking at picks like 7 through 9, 8, yeah, exactly. You're looking at following the tide of the draft. That's really all you're doing. You're trying to survive. You're getting best available. You're getting value. I mean, when you're in the top, or if you're the bottom, you can kind of, you know exactly what to do because everybody's already picked, so you know exactly what's happening. 7, you kind of got to either go with the flow or follow the trends that are happening in order for you to get the proper value. And I think at 8 with Najee and Jones, yeah, I think you did pretty good there.
Yeah, and again, you have a different strategy than myself. I usually like to go wide receiver heavy in my drafts. It looks like you like to go running back heavy, which is fine. Just two different strategies. But like I said, I would look to dangle Etienne later on and maybe bolster that wide receiving core just a bit.
Yeah.
Especially in a PPR league.
I like Pittman. I'm very bullish on Pittman though, so I think he's gonna have a great year.
Yep.
So, yeah, and that could be another position you put yourself in, right? Try to get somebody who wants Pittman and Etienne and flip them for, not saying this will happen, but for like a Jefferson or somebody if somebody's really desperate for running back.
If that happens, I would do that in a fucking second. Honestly, I would trade Najee Harris for Justin Jefferson. And to circle back around, bring this full circle right back to Vikings.
I mean,
I love Justin Jefferson this year. I think he's incredible.
If the guy that you're trading with is very desperate for a running back, you could dangle that.
Najee Harris.
Because you got a little more, you got pretty solid. You got Aaron Jones. That's still a solid one, right?
Yeah. Okay. So now let's break it down now. So for our Minnesota Vikings studs, I mean Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. Those are two players that I have in my top 10 overall ranking. So Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. Adam Thielen is my sleeper late. I have him. It looks like he's going around in the 60th pick on Pro Football Focus's ADP. You mentioned Irv Smith. I like him as a late tight end as well. And then also, if you are getting Cook, get Mattison. Mattison as your handcuff.
Always. If you have Dalvin Cook, always handcuff him because his number 2 is so good. But I did see something. Anyway, well, that's for another day. I did see something from somewhere else where you don't really want to stick with one set of running backs. You want to kind of divvy yourself up. But anyway, that's a theory for another day. But yes, I don't know if you mentioned this already though, but I have a lot of shares of Kirk Cousins, or I've been waiting a lot on Kirk Cousins because I think getting him where you get him is incredible, considering he was Pro Football Focus 6th ranked quarterback last season, and I think that's only going to get better. So, Kirk Cousins late. It's going to be great. All right. The over-under is 9. That's like highway robbery. What are you doing with that, Vic?
I'm taking the over.
Slam it, right? I think that's a slam. Slam that over.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I think, let's see. Let me look at their strength of schedule. 23rd, so middle of the pack. I like the over. Even though, what's funny is Pro Football Focus likes the under. I like the over.
I like the under. I got them winning division. I think this team is much improved defensively if all those players can stay healthy, and obviously if those young guys can really show promise on that defense. I think the offense should be even better just from a coaching perspective. Obviously they have all the talent on that offense. But yeah, I got the over. Got him at like 11. That's my sweet spot right there. 11, 12 maybe.
Yeah. And no, even though Pro Football Focus has the boring ass Packers at 61% chance to win the division title. I think that's bullshit. I'm still taking the Minnesota Vikings to win the title. Not the title, the division title.
Yes, I do too. Hammer it.
Hammer. Hammer.
All right. Anything else you want to get to, Vic, with the NFC North?
Now we're done. That's it. That's all we're done. That's all football. Now we're going to be a full basketball podcast from now on. Get ready for the NBA. Major transactions. 08 Celtics. We're going to talk about it all.
Yeah, so real quick, Vic, I don't know if you have it up. Let's give people a little bit of a preview for Thursday night's game, if you don't mind. What do you got for the over-under there? And also, if you guys do not know, Vic does his picks every single Friday on the Instagram. So he chooses 3 teams that he likes to put his beans on, if you will. You know, we're not betting money over here, just, a little bit of beans here and there. So Vic's picks. So Vic's lock picks, as we call them. So Vic, do you want to give us a little taste? Nothing yet.
No, I don't have a lock here.
Okay.
Not for this game at least.
Oh, okay.
So, but I will tell you this. We will talk a little bit. So the spread is Buffalo -2. 81% of the cash is on Buffalo -2. That is a heavy cash flow going Buffalo's way. If you're looking at a bet, I would take Buffalo -2.
Oh, all right. And do you? No.
On the road, by the way, on the road.
So we will save it for our Instagram. So in case you guys don't know, follow our Instagram at Townie_sports, as well as our TikTok, Townie Sports Pod. I will obviously post our Vic lock picks on both of those sites. So be sure to check us out there. If Vic wants.
We did pretty well last year, I think.
Yeah, we did great. So keep an eye out for that. Vic will give me his 3 picks for the week. I'll give you my 3 picks for the week. And, maybe make you some extra beans. Sometimes you run out of beans, you get a few more beans. That's all you need.
Yeah, for our listeners in Massachusetts where sports gambling is legal, you can feel free to, go ahead and gamble with real beans.
Yeah, use real money. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, Vic, Townie takeaway time. So how do you want to structure this? I know you were mentioning some Champions League action. We love to hear it.
I didn't want to take away from your Townie takeaway because you had a takeaway.
No, I don't need it. If we just had some Champions League stuff, you're really excited about Chelsea sucking and Leeds being good and Weston McKennie scoring a goal today, even though they lost to PSG. But
Weston McKennie scored. Giovanni Reina had 2 assists in their win. And Chelsea lost to Zainab. What's the Russian team's called? What's her name?
Dinamo Zagreb.
Thank you. Dynamo Zagreb. Brady won there.
Whoa, we got House of Phantom in the chat. Say what's up. What's up, Clark?
Oh, what up, Clark? Good to see you, buddy. Love to see it. Love to see Reina with the 2 assists. Makes me happy. Warms my heart. Weston McKennie had a header after coming on as a substitute to give Juventus their only goal of the game and in a losing effort against PSG. You also had Serginho Dest get some minutes over at AC Milan in the second half. And then our boy Christian Pulisic got another cameo in a losing effort for Chelsea. And I'm sure all that the Chelsea fans will be doing is blaming our boy Christian Pulisic for the loss, even though he was only in for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
On the other side of things, unfortunately, Leeds has hit a little bit of a spell here. Not worried about it. Jesse Marsh will right the ship. This is the ups and downs of an English Premier League season, guys. Nobody's expecting Leeds to make the Champions League this year. The best we're hoping for right now is middle of the table. So as long as they keep this pace, I think they will finish as a middle of the table club and avoid relegation again, where they can get some more money and build upon their success and keep going. Hopefully, eventually to national domination within the next 5 years. That's really all I wanted to say about Americans abroad. John Brooks just signed with Portuguese powerhouse.
Benfica.
Benfica Champions League club. So John Brooks trying to sign with the club and hopefully get on the radar, on Greg Berhalter's radar. And Benfica actually just sold for Tongan as well. So a spot has opened up for him there possibly. We'll see what happens with John Brooks and Benfica. Not right now on my roster, my World Cup roster to make Qatar. But
Clark had a crazy dream about me.
Oh, of course he did.
And yeah, Clark, you just missed it. We just finished up. We finished up doing the NFC East and the NFC North. So, we were just talking about all the previews of the NFL for this week, and Vic did a little bit of a preview of Thursday's game. And obviously on our Instagram page, just for everybody who's just joining us, check out our Instagram. We'll give you some great lock picks on Friday. He'll post them. He'll let me know Friday so that you can put your bean bets in before Sunday. But anyway, Vic, continue with the Benfica and John Brooks.
I want to get JC back here when we do our USMNT pod, and I'm excited to talk to him about his World Cup roster. Of course, roster announcements come in November. So that's all I have to say about Americans abroad so far. But I'll let you take it away. I didn't want to steal your takeaway, but
no, you did excellent. That was perfect. I mean, we need more of that. We need to bring a lot more attention to soccer. Also, we needed to take we need more attention to Americans Americans abroad. Like, I think that's super, super important. And that's what's going to bring soccer's popularity up here. And I did see that article actually the other day. It reminded me of you about how Leeds is changing how people are watching soccer here in the U.S. They changed the game. I think they changed like the Liverpool game to a Leeds game instead on television.
Yes. So what you're referring to is that there's a game of the week every week that Paramount does, and they put it on USA, and I believe it was a Chelsea game that got booted, and then this past week it was a Liverpool game that got booted. So really needed to get Leeds back on the winning side of things. This is their second loss in 4 games. Not great, but I think we'll be okay.
Indeed, Clark. Vic did call it. Soccer is going to become more relevant in the U.S. and hopefully, when we get closer, you and I are definitely going to deep dive all into that World Cup, dude. We're going to be so balls deep in the World Cup. It's not even going to be funny. You and I are going to really get into it.
Your podcast for World Cup United States Men's National Team information, because I am plugged in.
Yes, and every other team I'm super plugged in. So you've got the best soccer podcast. We're probably going to bring on some awesome soccer fans, some awesome soccer guests to do all of that discussion with us as well. World Cup is coming. World Cup is about to be upon us, and it's going to be absolutely freaking glorious, and I'm super, super excited. And I love doing this podcast with you because you educate me so much on U.S. soccer while I'm busy abroad watching European and South American soccer. So
your corner. That's your corner.
But yeah. All right, Vic, anything else you want to touch on before we sign off? We made it perfect, man. Good, nice hour, 10 minutes, and it was beautiful.
I love it. Oh, good stuff. As always, Sammy, I will talk to you next Tuesday.
Heck yeah. Next Tuesday, we're going to be giving you everything that happened in football. We're going to talk to you a little bit more about fantasy, all those implications that happened over the weekend, what not to overreact to, what to potentially overreact to, all that great stuff. Plus, obviously all the great pro football focus analysis that we bring you, all the stats, all that deep dive. So make sure you tune in every Tuesday to Townie Sports. We want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in every single week. Thank you, Arctic JC. Can't wait to have you on again to talk soccer with us. House of Fandom. Clark, as always, we love you. Go check out the House of Fandom page for all of your movies, all of your, pop culture stuff. That's the place to go. Sebastian, thanks again for tuning in. We loved all the questions regarding your fantasy football team. We love to talk more. So anybody has any other questions while we're going live about your fantasy team, about potential additions, we're always going to throw that out there, always answer it. Average Kurt, as always, great fan. Love when you come on. Love when you're always keeping it live in our chat. Anthony, what's up? Geronimo, what's up? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Geronimo. I know it's
birthday,
probably a little bit too late, but happy birthday. I'll make sure Anthony plays this for you. Happy birthday, Geronimo!
And don't forget Cousin Sean. Thanks for stopping by, Cousin.
Cousin Sean. As always, brother, your golf swing is just beautiful, and I love playing golf with you.
So pure.
We love you all. Thank you for choosing us for your listening pleasure on all things sports. The show would not be possible without you guys. Wouldn't do it if you guys didn't keep us moving, keep pushing us. So please remember, like the video, subscribe. Like the video, subscribe. It's very easy. Just X out the chat real quick and hit the like button. Subscribe. Do it up. Do it up. You can subscribe and then turn off your notifications because you know when we're going to be on. It's going to be every Tuesday, 8 p.m. That's all. Like, subscribe. Tell your mom. Tell your neighbor. Go check out our House of Fandom. Also, go check out Arctic JC for all of your incredible Pokemon card openings. Those are our homies right there, both of those people. Lastly, don't forget to check out our Instagram page, as I mentioned earlier, Townie_sports. We're going to make you some money this year, just like we did last year. If you were following us last year, you would have made a ton of money, especially on the Cincinnati Bengals. Ton of beans. Sorry, not money, beans. I'm in Florida. I don't bet money. Check out our TikTok page at Townie Sports Pod for all mini clips, highlights of the show as they drop. I will be posting all of these in-depth analysis in clip by clip by clip by clip form tomorrow. So be sure to check that out on both YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. With that being said, Vic, anything else you want to touch on before we go?
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.
That is it. I'm your host, Sami, alongside the great Vic. We are at Townie Sports. We'll see you guys next week.
Swag so mean, swagger on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G clan stay blunted. My toes stay bruised, cause I'm running to the money. Swag so mean, swagger on 100. We keep it real, dog. Nah, we ain't never fronted. You know my whole cap G clan stay blunted. My toes stay bruised, cause I'm running to the money.